drama with Wanda.
Hey, it's me, Wanda B, and you are tuned into He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com. We're an iHeartRadio station. So happy to be here. It's a beautiful Sunday, 2 p.m. Glad you guys are here with me. I have my friends with me. We're going to have a variety of topics today because I have a group, He Said, She Said, on Facebook. Please join the group, join in the topics. We go through some of the same things we talk about on this show. We talk about in the group is He Said, She Said on Facebook. So my Facebook friends who are viewing, please, I'm asking you as well to share the broadcast and chime in on Facebook. I'll be reading your comments, or you can call in 708-223-8953. So with me today is my friend David Seaton. Hello, David.
What's going on?
David is a host here at IntellectualRadio.com of Humanity in the Headlines. It is 1 o'clock on Saturdays. You have to tune in. One of my favorite shows. You can check it out on my page. I share it every week. Or you can chime in on his page, IntellectualRadio.com. You can always go there and view it as well. So, hello, David.
Hello, Wanda.
Nemia in dot.
Hey, y'all.
That's what we affectionately call my Nemia in dot. And then I have other co-hosts. They're not here today, so I always forget to shout them out. So, Akira and Valencia.
Hey.
Hello, guys.
What's going on?
So,
shout out to the host to my right while rocking the, what you call it?
Pink sugar.
Pink sugar.
that pink sugar is smelling good today. The ombre lips. This girl knows her makeup too. We're gonna have to have a
I got
fashion
my purple
class.
rain going.
Celebrating. Oh, it says purple rain. Celebrating. Do we celebrate it? How do you commemorate?
Commemorate. I guess.
Commemorate is probably better than celebrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Celebrate his life.
Celebrate his life.
Celebrate his music.
Celebrating his music.
Right.
We're celebrating his life.
For sure today.
You're gonna watch it. You know what? I haven't seen it since 1983. I don't think.
I'm glad you saw it in 1983.
I don't remember it. I just remember his hands over his mouth. That's really probably the only part I remember.
I actually went to Minnesota and I was looking for Lake Minnetonka.
Is this real?
Is it real? It's supposed to be a real place, but
did you really go there looking for it?
I did, but I couldn't find it.
I swear he's one of the smartest men I know, so don't judge him by that.
Minnetonka. I bet it probably is like a small little.
I bet you that there is a lake.
Minnesota is known on the land of 10,000 lakes, so.
I bet you is so you just didn't find it. You only went to 9,992.
Right.
But you didn't find that one. It's funny. There are die-hard Prince fans. I mean, the loyalty. I have friends with his face tattoos
it's almost
on
like
him.
cultish. Like people are die-hard Prince fans.
How do you guys feel about Prince? I know what I know. You guys love him. I just know you do. I was just he was okay. I know. Don't shoot me.
When I was in high school,
okay.
And this is dating myself, when we were in high school, and you remember we used to, maybe both of you remember, when you used to make slow jam tapes?
Yeah.
And we would have, the A side would be all Luther ballads, and the B side would be all Prince ballads.
Now look, so fast forward today, I have like slow jam playlist.
Right.
Do you? And Prince is on there?
Prince has made it. I mean,
which one is your favorite
then
Prince
you got
song?
your juicing.
You have to have a
volume
door.
1, juicing volume 2.
You have to have a door.
I have a door
on
on.
any,
Yeah.
And the extended version,
Darling
not the
Nikki?
radio version.
Is that the name of the song?
Darling Nikki, yeah.
That's isn't that a juicing one? No. Am I wrong? I don't know Prince. Sorry.
That's really not quite juicing.
What do you call that one?
That's like that's something else.
Right.
What is juicing in? Maybe I need to know what juicing even is. Really?
Juicing is like
I'm a little
completely
naive.
My mama probably still at church, so I can probably say real quick.
Get it out real quick.
Juicing is real intimate. It's like,
but Darling Nikki,
that's effing. At that point,
you're not effing when you're juicing. No.
I mean, you can transition from juicing into effing.
We're gonna have to have a class for me.
Y'all got me blushing.
Men don't make the distinction.
You don't make the juicing versus.
I use juicing just the way I use go together. Either we juicing or we going together.
Mm-hmm.
No, because you were going together
juicing.
when you was in 4th grade when you brought them to lunch.
And those were the appropriate words too in like elementary school. Ooh, they was juicing.
Really?
They really want juicing. Like,
I don't think my era, I'm a little bit older than you. We didn't use the word juicing.
oh yeah, my era is completely juicing. We juicing.
We weren't juicing. I don't think. If we were juicing, we didn't call it that. I don't know what we called it. So I'm going to ask you guys who are my age and up, and you're just going to have to guess what my age is because I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. But I would love for you to tell me if we use juicing then. I think we didn't use smash, juice. I don't even know, but it wasn't those words. I got to think of
I think y'all just use
the
words.
actual words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, help me out, guys. This on that particular. Let me know on Facebook.
You can call it belly smacking.
No, we called it belly smacking. What is belly smacking? Don't smack my belly.
Naked Macarena.
The horizontal
Okay.
mambo. That's
The
what you wanna
horizontal
call it.
mambo.
No, I have heard that one. That one I've heard. I haven't heard the smack the belly. Y'all are silly. These two are silly. Hey everybody who's chiming in on Facebook, please like, share the broadcast, and join in the conversation. And help me if you're from my area and guess, because if I see juicing, I'll know you're not really from my area.
Right.
But you
exactly.
think I am. So
And
that I may go with.
Derek, just try me. Derek, now you know you've heard of juicing.
Derek Harris, I've heard of it. I do these shows enough that I hear of it, but I just don't think in my era of juicing, I wasn't juicing then, though, because no, I wasn't. If my dad or family is watching, never juiced. Little Catholic school girl, never juiced.
Let me just let you know.
I wasn't juicing.
No comment.
Juicing is serious.
Okay, guys. So juicing goes way back. It does, Derek? Oh, then maybe I just wasn't doing. I didn't use that language. My St. Margaret of Scotland friends were we juicing?
Tucson, I grew up on the west side. No, sir. Everybody on the west side use it's actually, I think it is a side of town type of term. I think
so.
it really
West
is a west
side
side
was
term.
juicing.
We was
Tucson,
juicing.
you were south side.
We're juicing out west. Y'all was doing other stuff out south.
Yes, out south. I don't remember the term juicing when I was younger. So maybe that's the south. Are you west side or south side?
West suburbs.
West suburbs.
Close enough.
Well, you weren't juicing either.
No, I was not.
They were having
making
sex.
passionate love. You were making passionate love. Y'all funny. These two are funny. Okay. So we have a host of topics today. So I will get to one of the topics that's right there on the screen today. How many sex partners are too many? In the world of dating and multiple dating, is there a number that's too many?
Let me
Are we talking about?
Drink your tea, sip your tea, and come back to us, Nemia.
Are we talking about concurrently, or are we talking about over a period of time?
Okay, let's say both. So let's say over your lifetime. I don't think there is a number over your lifetime. Am I wrong? I don't know. Over your lifetime is different, way different than concurrent.
At the same time, concurrent.
Thank you. Yes, I was going to use that word and want to make sure. I was like, wait a minute, that's right? Concurrently, I don't think women should even say out loud.
Just know I'm not a virgin. Like,
all right, why do we
I'm
have
an
to give
adult,
numbers?
non-virgin woman.
Well, see, I thought this was the age where women were this was the Me Too movement, and you shouldn't have any shame or let someone else shame you about your experience. If you were grown enough to do it, then why not be grown enough to talk about it?
I think you're right, and I think I didn't grow up in that area. I grew up in shame. Especially Catholic school girls grow up being taught shame and guilt.
That's a Christian thing.
That's a Christian thing all the way around.
It's especially the black church kind of fell off on the shame thing in the 80s, but generally speaking, that's more.
And they was out there. They was
they were
doing
out
plenty
there. They
juicing.
Didn't say
5
that loud.
kids, 4 baby daddies. Like your
And
big mama was a freak. It's cool.
Mm.
But I think we live in an era where it was different before safe sex was a thing. Except of where body fluids aren't, mixing while juicing. It gives people this idea that you're not, in fact, connected, like on a spiritual body fluid swapping level anymore. So the numbers are drastically higher than what they were before, where you would have.
Well, again, lamb-skinned condoms are thousands of years old. So the idea,
but were we using them?
People,
Like
people were
we're
using them
using
because they
condoms
invented
now.
them.
Yeah.
They invented them so that they could control their procreation.
Mm-hmm.
I think the movement, like you said, I can have as many, definitely has changed things
Yeah.
for women. The movement of
Right.
it's my body, I can do what I want. You can't tell me. I can do what men do. The same thing if you can do it. I think that definitely has upped the numbers for women.
Right. I don't think that there is a number.
Too. There's no number.
For me, there's no number. As long as
concurrently, no number.
Until we decide to be monogamous.
There's no number that you have to.
No, there's a number.
What's the number, David?
See, I'm more like, I'm more like, if you're protecting yourself, I'm good. Like, if we're not committed, I'm not clocking. Now, I don't want to know what you're doing, but I'm assuming you're doing what you're doing. So my bigger issue is that we are
practicing
honest about safe sex
and being safe with
If
whatever
you met a dude and you were dating him and you weren't monogamous yet, and you found out that you were one of 10 or one of 15.
I've had situationships where we talk candidly about.
I'm talking about one of 15 right now, and you're in rotation.
Well, now see, that's a little.
Well, that's that's my point. My point is there's a number.
There is a number, but I don't know. I'm not
saying you and I are dating, and I'm saying, oh, you're the 15th person I've slept with in my life. I'm saying I'm sleeping with 14 other women right now, and you are number 15.
Don't tell me that. No, because I won't be.
So there's a number. So there's a number.
I won't be number.
So there's a number.
There is.
What about 168?
160.
No, that number's too high.
But he's proving my point.
He's proving your point.
He's being hyperbolic, but there is a number. If you know, for most women, and this I've seen this, and I've experienced this. For most women, if they know that you're sleeping with them and maybe one or two or three other women, their competitive nature will kick in, because now they're going to try to come in and put it down because they want to knock everybody else out the box, or they want to get to the number one spot. But if you're dealing with someone who's sleeping with 15, feel bad for what?
Because I've had a situationship where I knew he was dealing with other people, but it wasn't.
You weren't going to compete.
I wasn't in competition. I just wanted to make sure I got my.
You were just. I just want to make sure I'm Tuesday, Thursday. I don't care about.
I get my end of the rotation.
Well, then you were
not so much the competition.
Right, you were just in it then. But if your day was Tuesday and Thursday, and you got knocked out of your day because now he's with the other chick, you would have been upset. You'd be like, look, I accepted the fact that I'm in rotation. You're not gonna knock me out of my day too.
And along with what you're saying,
I'm just saying this. How
there's
I know
honest dialogue that if you have certain privileges to come knock me down, I have the same privileges to call you and say, hey, I'm coming over. I'm on my way home from blah blah blah. I'm stopping by to get a little bit before I get back home. There is no like, nah, I sort of. If it's good, what is it? Good for the gander. It's good for the goose.
It's good for the gander.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, some of the comments from our Facebook friends are that Sherry said, "I think a starting 5 is probably normal."
I think a starting 5 is a bit on the normal side.
Toussaint said, "There is no number if an adult is concerned about that. They are living under the norms of social standards. Social standards shouldn't control us like that. For most dudes, they always have at least a rotation of 3. That's just a gift for the ladies. For the ladies, always the 3 are consistent. The weekend randoms don't count in that 3 number."
I think that's an honest. 3 is an honest number for a single man or for a man who just hasn't decided to be monogamous yet, because you got the number one. You got the number one woman that you really like. she's, that's the best one you can pull. So that's your woman that you take out and you spend your money on, blah, blah, blah. That's your number one. Then you have your number two, where it's somebody that you like, but there's something wrong with her. Like, you like her, you've known her for a long time, you all went to high school together, or, she's real cool, but, she got a bunch of teeth missing, or, one leg is longer than the other. Something's wrong with her, but she's real cool. And then your number three is usually if you're number one, and if you get into a fight with number two or whatever, or your number three is your jump off. That's the one you can call whenever.
You don't really.
David is really putting this down for us.
Nobody, like your number three, nobody has even met her. Nobody even knows her name, but you can call her at any time, and that's your jump off. Am I right? Am I right, Desant? Did I get the three right?
But like, so
from the married man.
He said he ain't been married all the time.
Crew.
Right. I was single. I was single before I got married. So.
Yes, I think we all were. So, hey, Madeline. Madeline's part of the Intellectual Radio family. Check out her show every third Saturday at IntellectualRadio.com, The Divas Den at 10 a.m. She said, I personally think for a woman, more than three is too many. And I think everything is kind of relative to each person, what's too many and what.
I would like to know why she feels that three is too many for a woman. Like her having three partners, or her dealing with someone that has three.
Well, let's back up for a minute. Let's back up for 1 minute and qualify this. If you are a responsible person and you work a job 40 hours a week and you sleep 5 or 6 hours a day, and there's a limit to there's a maximum number of people you could be dealing with anyway. Yeah. Unless you're just having one night stands and you're
just cool in the grocery store smashing on the way from the grocery store.
I mean, again, if you sleep 6 hours a day and you work 40 hours a week, you've only got maybe 7 hours a day to do something, and you still got to eat, you still got to drive to work and drive home, so there's a maximum number of people.
So realistically, it's like not even logical to have too high of a number and give them any quality time.
Exactly.
And you still have time for yourself and work, and so that makes sense too.
The references to she's got to have it. Absolutely. She had a starting lineup. I think men can't take women. We've grown accustomed to knowing that, especially before you become monogamous. And some women are still like in the dating phase. Well, if he's sleeping with me, he only better be sleeping with me. But like men can't handle as much as a woman being kind of forthright and saying.
I don't think they want to know that.
Men really honestly think when they walk in the room, they popping cherries every time. Like, dude, I'm not a virgin. You're not the first. And if we're not married, you probably won't be the last. So
that is not true.
Really?
And I will say that, and it's funny because a friend of mine and I from high school, we were having this conversation the other day, and we were talking about when you think back to high school, when you think back to when you were in your period of adolescence, there was always, like for females, there was always some girl that all the boys liked, but you could never really figure out why. And then you found out years later that's because she was going down way before everybody else. She was going down on dudes.
That's why
she was going down.
We're just finding out today why they didn't like
that girl was going down on dudes when the rest of the girls were still trying to figure out if tongue kissing was nasty.
Oh, that girl, so funny.
That girl that all the boys liked.
Right.
That's because the dudes found out, hey, that girl is going down. And so everybody wanted to get with that chick to have that experience. So no, that's a misconception that women have, that men don't want to. That's why we classify women. And some women are known as, that's the jump off.
Well, I'll just
chick.
say my experience has been that men have not been able to handle when I've been quite frank and honest. Like, I'm dating. I'm not committed to just you.
But those are the ones that obviously like you and were thinking of you as the main chick.
These are the men that weren't ready to commit either. Like we weren't.
Think so?
We weren't in a committed situation. And
were they thinking of you as putting you as the main until you said that? Maybe. No.
I don't know if I believe any brother is dating you and didn't want to go ahead.
Right. I think that becomes the issue. I think that becomes the issue, is they were putting you in the potential of main, and then you say that, and then like,
Here's Here's another thing for women. Here's another thing for
Right, like,
wait. Here's another thing
She
for women.
juicing?
Here's another thing for women to realize too, and I think this goes for men and women, but more so for women. You're gonna get what you put out there. So if you put out there that all you looking to do is smash, because I've had those conversations with women that they put it out there. Hey, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm just looking for somebody to handle the business. Then they look up a year later saying, everybody I meet, all they want to do is sleep with me. Well, that's what you putting out there. So you can't get mad when you're putting that out there and then no one wants to claim you because you put yourself out there that you weren't looking for that.
Okay. You're tuned into He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com, and we just discussed how many sex partners are too many. We're going to keep it rolling. I want to bring up our 30 and Up Doing Us Facebook group. Please join their group as well. Tyson Smith is a hilarious comedian. Check out some of his work on Facebook, on social media. He's hilarious, and they submit topics to us to discuss. And today, the 30 and Up Doing Us question is, would you do high school over again if you had a chance?
I'd do college over again. High school, you still got rules and stuff. Like, no, I'm good.
I may choose a different high school if I had to choose. Knowing what I know now, I may choose a different high school, which then would allow me different experiences. But I don't want to do it over again, though. I'm kind of
it was like high school was work, and I get why kids are exhausted because it's a lot of unnecessary busy work.
A lot of unnecessary work. My daughter is a high school senior and very, very upset over her Spanish 2 and what she has to do for Spanish 2. She has to write a soap opera, and then she wants to be a welder. So she's like, "Why am I?"
And let me tell you, the teacher's not reading it. She's not reading it. She's skimming through it like.
And I was like, why are they like forcing her, making this part of graduation is to write a soap opera in Spanish when she's not bilingual? She doesn't care to be bilingual. And will this really help her and her? She just
wait. We changed subjects. I was just looking at what
go ahead.
I was just looking at what Sherry or Cherie Thomas posted.
I think it's Cherie. I think I'm pronouncing this. Fix it for me, Sherry. Cherie. I think that's how, if I remember correctly. She's been a guest here on it. He Said, She Said. What did she say?
Does a sugar daddy want his sugar babies to be exclusive? How about the married man and a side piece?
Ooh.
So I'm friends with a married man who has a side piece, and he wants his side piece exclusive. Like he has a key to her house.
She has to be exclusive.
The side piece has to be exclusive. Why, David?
Because if I'm your sugar daddy, I'm paying for it.
You're paying for the exclusivity.
That's what the sugar daddy is. I'm paying.
But
for
90% of your time is at home with the wife. So
if I'm your sugar daddy, you know that.
Well, no, not the sugar daddy. The married man with the side piece.
The married man with the side piece. Again, if I'm married and you're my side piece, you know I'm married.
Right.
And
I should be able to move around.
No.
No. That's not how it works.
Because the side chick is dealing with the married man because she wants the privileges but none of the responsibilities. So she's trading off. So you are in exchange for that, having that access. You don't get to move around.
No. Not on my dime.
No.
I guess he's saying.
No, not in you expect to call me because again, when a married man, and the married man goes into that situation knowing I've got a wife and a family, I'm dealing with this side chick. So in order for me to have that access, she has that certain access to me if she needs some help on whatever. So that's the trade-off. Or otherwise, you leaving your wife.
And today is
if you're not leaving your wife and you're saying, hey, I love my wife, I love my family, I'm not leaving my family, but I want to deal with you. Again, no, you don't get to trick off. No.
That sounds like another topic for another day because I really want to know why and that to Nemia.
It's territorial,
seems very. I do get the sugar daddy part, but the married man and the wife, sugar daddy, he is paying, and if he's paying your lights,
he paid
and paying your rent,
I knew an old sugar daddy, and Mr. J was old. Like
what you knew one or have?
I knew one. No, I knew one. And he would put me on game.
Your cousin knew one, right?
He would
Your
put
friend
me on game. He would absolutely put me on game. And so he would tell me about his little sugar baby. And he was like, look, it don't work all the time. So I'm not even trying to go over and lay up. I got a whole house I got to go to, tend to, a wife to be with. So I make deposits. I take care of, buy gifts, do this and that around the house. But when I pick up the phone and say I'm on my way, there's no excuse. There's no, I got to get somebody out. Somebody's over. I'm on the way. It better be ready.
Okay.
I was like,
that's
what?
the rules.
Yeah,
That's
That
right.
makes sense.
Because again, think about it from the other end, from the woman's perspective, who's knowingly a side chick. If she calls up her sugar daddy and says, I need X, and he says, I don't have it, or figure it out, in her mind, she's going to be thinking, well, why am I even dealing with you? Why am I dealing with a married man who I have access to at his convenience? The only thing that I'm really getting out of it is that I don't have the responsibilities of a wife, and that I can have some sort of subsidy in my life. So again, that's the trade-off.
So Toussaint said, married with a side piece, but he has a key. That's not a side piece. That's a mistress. Oh, and so that led me to what's the difference between mistress and side piece? Because that will have to be for a different show. So high school. Oh, I lost Toussaint's about nope. I want to hear that. He
said, nope, I'm straight. What's funny? Funny people who pose those type of questions usually haven't grown beyond high school experience. Life has a lot to offer. Black folks don't really have experiences after high school, and that's sad. Yeah, I wouldn't dare go back to high school.
I mean, what is there to redo? I don't want to do the work. It
was the most exhausting 4 years of my life. And then you get to college and you like.
When I thought about your question, right? When I thought about your question, I wasn't thinking about going back to high school to be a freshman, a sophomore, junior, and senior. I was thinking about knowing what I know now. Would I go back to that season in my life with the knowledge that I have today, and how, what are the different choices that I would make, so that now today at age 44, that my life would be better or different or whatever.
No, I'm not going back past.
Even with the knowledge, 20, now?
21. High school was, on top of the work of school, but them formative years, that's work. Your hormones, you're awkward, you're getting.
And knowing what I know now, I don't know why they're doing it all, which actually will, I think, make it actually worse. It'd be different when I don't really know why you're doing this, but when I really know why and how hurt you are, knowing this may actually make the experience worse for me, because now I know the answers to the whys you're treating me this way, and that you.
But that's, I guess that kind of you're illustrating my point, is that if you had the opportunity to go back to that season in your life, you wouldn't have as many heartbreaks, and you wouldn't go through that, because you would be able to identify it a lot earlier.
That's true.
That's the thing that we trip out on as adults, is that when we see people who are our age today and they're still making the same bad choices, that they never learned from that. So again, going back to that season in my life and doing things different, there are certain things that I didn't try or didn't do out of fear of failure or whatever, and there were things that I invested a lot of time in, that, knowing what I know now, I would have invested that time differently. So again, I don't necessarily think about, do I want to go back to Proviso West and going, do I want to do that? No, but going back to that season of my life, and with the information that I have today, hell, just going back to the 90s and investing $1,000 in Microsoft.
Now I would go back.
You know,
90s was
now going back like that, yes.
You know,
absolutely.
late
But
80s,
drop me
early
off
90s.
at 98. 18. Put me back at 98. 98 was I remember everything about 98. It was a great freaking year.
That's funny.
98 to 2003. Like, I remember it vividly, but those were my college years. So
I think knowing what I know now and going back, I only get afraid that I won't wind up here.
I didn't know you was a baby. Talking about you.
I know. I told you.
Graduated high school in
1998.
That's why I said my experience with juicing may be a different word, because I know she's in a whole younger bracket than me. So not that much now. Yeah, I mean it like that, but yeah, it's less. So okay, so some of the comments
I said it.
What did I say?
He's so aggressive. Oh yeah. So to answer the topic question, we answered. It becomes too many once you get away from taking care of your responsibilities. The simple blessings.
Who said that?
I said
it.
I said it is going to be a guest here on He Said, She Said. He's been one before, and then he has his tribute to women that He Said, She Said is proud to be a sponsor of coming up, a tribute to women. So I said it, yes. I think too many can make a difference. So what we're talking about now, I'm going to go back into, we're kind of, because I switched the topic in the middle of us still talking about it. O'Kara said you're doing it wrong if exclusivity isn't, if you're not getting exclusivity with your side piece
or
correct.
significant
what
other.
Situations do the women have correct. Kind of, so if he's the side piece, then she gets the exclusivity?
Male side pieces, women don't expect exclusivity from men as much, I don't think, do they?
No, there are, I mean, you just said it. There are men if you're dealing with a man who all he wants is just to smash, then you can find that. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, what happens is that goes on for a certain period of time, and one person's emotions get wrapped up in it. And I'm not going to say it's, usually the woman or usually the man, but usually one person is saying, okay, this is cool for me. And then one person, their emotions change, or then they say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. That's where women get caught up too. They'll be dealing with a dude where it was just sex. Then the woman says, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And now the dude's saying, well, he still wants the sex. And he's saying, oh, no, I'll date you. We can be together.
Right.
So Madeline,
but that doesn't work when that happens. By the way.
Madeline posted, if I was a side chick or a sugar baby, you paying for my time, not exclusivity. That word is a tongue twister. Not when you have others on the side, married and all. No, not interested in going back to high school.
Yes, I think yes, she says she's not interested in going back to high school. We're running back and forth on these two topics. Tucson said, I hear that, but the question is posed most times for and by people who want to relive prom. And that's because they usually don't have any other reasons to get dressed up.
Look, and there's so many galas that happen that you can still get dressed up.
But let me say this. But wait.
Like,
let me say this. Let me say this in response to what Tucson just said.
Okay.
It is so sad. And obviously that's not the case for the people who are sitting here. But it is so sad that for a lot of African Americans, that prom is the zenith of your life.
Yeah.
I know cats who I've been to the last job that I was at, and people were supposed to dress business professional. They would come in like they're going to the club. Because those are the only two kinds of clothes they had. They had the club clothes and their jeans.
Yeah.
So they say that they didn't have like I know men who don't own a suit. So, because
men, remember we got the last time you were here, we were having the conversation about dress shoes. Were you here that show?
I don't think
maybe
so.
Not. But one of the guys was like, I don't own, a pair of dress shoes. I don't need to own a pair. And I'm like, have a suit and just one decent pair. Correct. You're going to look like the crazy person in your Easter granddaddy suit because.
But that person that you're talking about has nothing in their life where they ever have to dress more than casually. Yeah. And that's what Tucson, I think, is saying. And then I think I know people who are adults in their 30s and 40s, and prom was the high point of their life. That was the only,
and they make it the highlight of their children's lives, which is why
exactly.
Even with kindergarten, it's like, do you have that low expectations that your kid is not going to make it to high school?
Exactly.
That you got a red carpet scene and everything for them to just go to the school lunchroom and eat chicken nuggets and drink a juice box.
Right, a juice box, right. A Capri Sun.
Yeah.
But again, that question is so much deeper because that's an old rap line that why is it the only time black folks get in a limo is at a funeral?
Yeah.
So you look at it, I mean, and you look at these like every time, and I hate it when I see this, and I hate to even say it, but it's only kind of peripherally germane. When you see these kids that get killed in the inner cities, and the first thing they put is we had to have a GoFundMe page to have a funeral. Yeah. I mean, that's what we're really talking about. We talking about people who, if you live your whole life and all you ever put on are gym shoes and jeans, you need to step up your experience.
Yeah.
Yes. Totally agree.
And it's, we live in a city where it's not hard to get into some things like good experiences. And like Sherry just said, it does take you out of your comfort zone. But if you enjoy the experiences of, let's say, galas and dressing up and things like that, you can go on Eventbrite and there's always something happening. Now, financially, you may be, I don't know about paying $100 for a ticket, but we paid $100 for the ticket in high school. So it's kind of
where spend $100 on some liquor and weed for the evening.
That's what I was just about to say. It's kind of where you value your money. Like, do you value it on kind of the here and now, or do you value putting your money in having experiences that will be with you for a lifetime?
Right. And to kind of coattail on what you're saying, Chicago is one of the most diverse places in the world.
Intangible.
Right. Mm-hmm. When they did that Jazz Fridays at the Shed Aquarium.
Yeah.
It was
Jazzing at the Shed.
Right. It was like a black networking event.
I love jazzing at the Shed.
I'm trying to make sure that I take my daughter to the Chicago Symphony Orchestra this summer.
I love
Wanda me thing. She took me once and I was so thrilled.
Again,
it's amazing.
But again, to most people, because how you perceive the way that you perceive the worth of something is based on your exposure to it. Yeah. So when you say that to the average person who's never been, they're gonna be like, oh, that's corny, or you lame, or whatever. But just sit there and just hear the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. If you've never had a chance to do it, I guarantee you, go one time, and you're gonna, if you don't enjoy it, you're gonna be sitting there and you're gonna hear some instrument, and you're gonna be like, oh, I didn't know that instrument made that sound. Because you hear it, in Disney movies, or you hear that music when you watch movies. But a lot of people can only identify 4 instruments.
I would love for you to go to a Sinfonetta, because I'm addicted to the Sinfonetta. I have a subscription and it's diverse. What I love about the Sinfonetta is how diverse the musicians are and
the music that they play.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Michael Jackson.
I went with Wanda, and it's very enticing to your earbuds because you hear something that you can say, oh, okay, that sounds familiar. I've heard that before. And it's, like you said, the backtrack to Michael Jackson or something else that you didn't even know.
Wait, my man Toussaint just went in. He said, if you don't even put a suit on, you are poor. Real poor. This is not up for debate. Save your garbage man arguments. I don't know who made the garbage man argument, but that's again, every man should have at least one suit. I'm not saying go out there and get a tailor-made suit.
You can go to K&G and get a decent quality suit and let them tailor it up. And that be your, if you own $100 pair of sneakers, you should have
150, 200.
Suit. Yeah, well, I'm thinking of terms of my feet, but you're right. They're about 200.
Yeah, those like men's
for
Jordan.
Adult men. Yeah,
right. There's no there again, but again, that speaks to exposure. If you have lived on earth for 20, 25, 30 years, you never went to church, you never, you had a blue collar job, everybody has a blue collar job, and the nicest event you've ever had is Friday night at the Blue Note in Broadview for somebody's birthday party. Yeah. Then in your world, you're like, why would I go out and spend, I've spent as much as $1,000 on a suit. So for someone who that's their experience, they might be like, why would I go out and buy a suit? For what?
This is true. I don't know the poor part. What is our median income, net income for a home? $1,700. Aren't we all poor, Toussaint? Then we then we come up with that at some point in time. But that's I think owning a suit. And what about your 8th grade suits? Maybe your parents got one at graduation. Maybe just reuse that
Well,
one.
if you
Now, if you still
if you 13 years
grade
old, if you are
suit,
13 years old and you can
eighth
still
grade
fit your 8th grade suit, we got some other issues we need to talk about. You
Put
need
the
to go.
crack pipe down.
You need to go see an endocrinologist or something. If you
Something
still
ain't
wearing
right,
your 8th grade
bruh.
suit.
Okay, I'm gonna leave y'all alone. I'm not gonna say y'all have to have a suit.
Although I was,
Yes,
would be
you
nice.
need to have a suit. Yes.
I was cut from
David
that
said it.
kind of generation. It was around people, and it was mainly people at church, my exposure level, where they wore suits. And so I was dead set, like, no, for graduation, I want a nice 2-piece suit. And for luncheon, I had a blue pinstripe pantsuit. It was bad. Had it tailored up. And to me, it was like me looking like an adult, looking like what I wanted to see.
Exactly.
Now I wear suits all the time, and I'm like, oh, here we go. But it's just a part of life.
So we're gonna move right along. We have a plethora of questions today because they came from our He Said, She Said group and also from 30 and Up Doing Us. And we're gonna try to get to them all. So we're gonna keep it moving on topics. You're tuned in to He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com. We're an iHeartRadio station.
iHeartRadio.
So this is for our males and my males that are on Facebook. Chime in because my dear N. Dot and I won't be able to answer this one. Are males intimidated by female stud women?
All right. I just want to make sure I understand what we're talking about. We're talking about lesbians who look like men.
Who dress
Transgendered.
Yes.
Not necessarily. Are we talking about
Transgender
transgender?
is
Are we talking
different.
Well,
about
it's the same.
that's different.
Well, transgender is.
No. I know what transgender is. I'm saying in my mind, I've always known a stud to be because it used to be lesbians were both girly.
Right.
Then somewhere along the way, the girly lesbians started looking for more masculine looking, who weren't transgender. They were still women. They just dressed and acted.
Doesn't mean that your gender has transitioned.
That's true.
Gender is what you presented.
Okay. Well, the lesbians again. That's why I want to know what we're talking about, because the studs that I know, they still identify as women, but they're just more masculine looking female lesbians.
Right. So yes, in the gay world,
right?
Yes, the stud can, depending on who you're talking to at the time, it can be an offensive term. And so some are shifting more to the transgender.
Oh,
because that's the gender that they're trying to present as.
Okay. So transgender is denoting or relating to a person whose sense of personal identity and gender does not correspond with their birth sex. Mm-hmm. So the redress, I'm going to use Stully because that's how the question was sent to me but so a transgender person.
It's someone who dressed like a boy.
Okay.
Looks like a boy, dressed like a boy.
Exactly. But again, that's why I was making the distinction, because I know lesbians who are studs who still identify as female. They just prefer to look
like a boy,
more masculine.
Like a man.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then they are different.
Yes.
Being a stud and transgender are different.
Right.
Because
we'll just lose the labels and say a woman that dressed like a man,
real masculine. Likes women.
Yeah.
Are men intimidated by that?
Are men intimidated by that woman that looks just like acts and behaves as a man, lives her life as a man?
No, if you are a real man and you are comfortable in your gender and in your sexual identity and in who you are, that's not going to bother you. It would be, it would be more off-putting to see a man who is really really feminine. That would be more off-putting, I think, than seeing a woman who looks masculine.
I wonder, so who sent the question? I think she was okay with me saying that. I don't think she's watching now to clarify her question. That was T Bizzle, my dear friend and co-host of Raw Checklist.
T Bizzle.
Mondays at 9 p.m. here at IntellectualRadio.com. That was her question. So intimidated means that you're scared of them, or that you're, I guess, intimidated in what way? So I need her. We're going to answer that. We may even talk about that tomorrow.
I think the joke is that, like, she can give the best of both worlds. So she's like,
to a woman.
she's like
intimidated by
Steal
her.
Your Girl. Yeah. So the running joke is always that a man is more intimidated because she is naturally a woman. So she knows all of the things that make a woman feel good. But then she's adding on top of that masculine, can I say masculine energy? Masculine energy,
right?
To the situation.
Well, number one,
to present.
Number one, if that's what we're talking about, then that clarifies it. Number one, if you're a man, unless your woman has proclivities toward homosexuality, then you don't have anything to worry about. That's number one. And number two, that's a old wives' tale about, oh, a woman knows how to. No, that's not true. It's you find that out by trial and error. speaking as a man,
find it out.
I don't need to have a vagina to figure out what to do to make a vagina feel good. That's the most ignorant thing I've ever heard in my life. That's stupid. So no, that's not true. Number one.
Great point there.
You said point taken. Moving on from that question. So, what do men and women get most enjoyment from when spending time with the opposite sex? I know. I love that question. That came from Toussaint. I thought that was a very good question. What do men and women get most enjoyment from when spending time with the opposite sex?
So I'm a single girl, and I have never lived with a man. So I've always lived real, true blue single life.
Let me just go ahead and put it out there one more time. That's only because she chose to, because I don't believe it's no brother that
yes.
Go ahead and put his name on the lease. So
I enjoy the companionship. My love language is quality time and touch. And so when I am spending time with a guy, I enjoy kind of an arm rub or, cuddling for a little bit, little banter here and there. I thoroughly enjoy those quiet moments. And if you know me, you know that I am very, very seldom am I sitting down for more than 5 minutes. Anytime somebody calls, I'm on my way here, I'm just leaving there, on my way here. So when I am taking time out to say, hey, let's just chill, I enjoy those moments. So I enjoy kind of energy, quality time, physical touch.
David, what's your enjoyment with the opposite sex? Spending time with your wife. What do you enjoy?
The thing at this stage of life with my wife is that I enjoy most is when we do new things. She just mentioned to me the other day at Soldier Field, they're having like this festival.
Oh, the Dragon Festival.
Exactly.
I want to go to the Dragon Festival. You gotta see. It's like an adult carnival. It's totally lit up. Right. If you ever take Lakeshore Drive at night, it is lit. Like legit lit up.
Now it's lit up for it.
It's until May 5th.
Yeah.
It's a Cinco de Mayo, I think, because we're going next weekend.
Yep.
So
they have Groupons for that, good people. So if you want to
jump on Groupon, and the
$17 or something.
Well, the VIP tickets are $45, and that includes like a gift, and you get to go in the background and see the behind the scenes, and they have some other stuff for that.
Okay.
So
how cool is that? That's the Dragon Festival?
Yes.
I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know what
it's the year of it's to celebrate.
It's at Soldier
Chinese
Field.
New Year.
Right. If you Google it, it'll come up immediately because that's the only.
Now, if you and your wife do that, then this summer you and your wife have to do the tour of Chinatown.
Okay.
If you've never done the tour of Chinatown, which I've never done before until maybe 2 years ago, it's amazing. We have like a whole lot of historical artifacts that are in Chinatown that we are one of only 4 other countries to have. And so
let's do a show on that, guys, because we talked about the Sinfonetta, the symphony. Let's do a show on things, and we talked about exposure to our people. Let's have a whole show of things to expose.
That would be hot.
Expose people to that.
Another thing that I'm definitely, because for our 1 year we're actually going back to Hawaii. So we're going to Maui. Went to Oahu for our honeymoon. For our 1 year we're going to Maui. But I just spent the week on business in San Antonio. San Antonio.
That's soft on your pockets, but packed with like fun. Go to San Antonio, stay on the Riverwalk, Everything you need is right there. And you're going to see something and experience something different and the weather is beautiful.
Exactly.
I love it. I'm learning stuff today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Riverwalk is the truth.
yeah, I again was down there, went to because basically all it is at street level, you're seeing all of the hotels and all the businesses. Then you'll have at the little bridge, and there'll be stairways that go down to the Riverwalk, and it looks very similar to the Riverwalk that we have here in Naperville.
I've never been.
How you gonna go to the one in San Antonio?
I didn't even know that existed. I'm gonna have to put that on my list.
So yes, you need to check out. But the Riverwalk in Naperville doesn't have all of the restaurants and everything down on the Riverwalk. They're up on street level.
Okay.
So again, you check into your hotel, and just about every hotel all of the hotels that are on the Riverwalk, you have this direct access to walk down a flight of stairs, and all of the restaurants and the bars and everything are on the Riverwalk, and you take these little boat tours, and it'll take you around and blah blah blah. But again, I'm gonna have to do that as like a weekend thing for the wife, for us to go back.
So new things, you love new experiences with your significant other. I think that's cool.
And you know what? And not to get really deep, but a lot of times relationships get old and they get stale because everything has become so routine. And if you don't do anything but just plan one vacation a year, it could be a big one or a small one, just the anticipation of knowing that you've got something coming up on the calendar, you'll always have something new to talk about. Then you finally get there and you have fun, and then you come back and then you're planning your next one. I know married people who have, been married for 10, 15, 20 years, and they've never gone gone someplace together that wasn't in a car.
Yeah.
Call a agent, give them $100 a month for the next 12 months, and get your significant other and get your butt on a plane and go somewhere and experience something. This world is so big.
Now, what I despise seeing is when I'm out, I love people watching. And you know the couples that don't like each other. So they're out and they are having the worst time at dinner. They're not communicating. This darn thing is in someone's hand, and you can tell that they're on Facebook or Instagram because all they're doing is swiping up and down, up and down. It's you have a whole human being sitting there, enjoy
the quality
your
time
significant
together.
other. But I don't think we take the time to figure out what do you like doing, and trying to be intentional with kind of setting
be in
those
the moment when we're together with each other. So
what do you like, Wanda?
What do I like? I like quality time, doing something different, because I am a very habitual person of doing very habitual things. So I do the new experiences. These are things I'm saying that I don't actually do. So
well, the question was, what do you do? The question was, what do you like to do?
Wait, what was my question? What do men and women get most enjoyment from when spending time with the opposite sex?
What do you like to do?
For me, it is very simple. I think going for a walk. I don't know why, I just absolutely love the thought of holding hands and going for a walk. Just very simple things, doing things in nature.
So right here on the west side on Austin, they have it's a park right on Austin and Jackson. Inside is a Chinese garden. You would never know.
Where? Oh, give it to me.
Right
again.
here
Chinese
on Austin. Austin and Jackson. Park your car on Austin. Once you go into the park, you have to go
over there by the school. Over there by Oscar the Priest.
No, it's right on the corner of Austin. So you go over the bridge, over the expressway, and then the very first park you see is going to be on the right-hand side. You're going to see a walking path, but inside of the park, which you don't see from the street view, is a waterfall. There's this little butterfly thing in there. It is amazing. Also, the what's the plant place over
Garfield, the conservatory. Love there.
I've
done that one.
Romantic spot. So it's light on your pockets. Isn't it free 99? Free 99. That's what I'm saying. It's light on your pockets.
You just have to give a donation. That is an absolute beautiful place to go with someone the opposite sex and spend some time. So I love all those things. Walking along the lake, any kind of quality time, just one-on-one together, away from hustle, bustle and things. And I don't like movies really. I don't like to think that we can't talk and can't. I love talking. I don't know what made you think know that about me.
I put out another one.
What's another one? I'm writing these down
really quickly. The Capitol Grill in the one in Yorktown Mall. I know there's another one. There's one in the city, I think.
Yeah.
But they have this thing where for lunch or for dinner, you go in and maybe for $20, they'll give you wines from 2 countries, and you'll get to taste a Merlot, a Cabernet, a Pinot, and a Chardonnay. And for lunch, it's like $20. But again, just a really inexpensive, you don't have to necessarily be an enophile, but, for $20, you get to sit there and you get to try 8 different wines,
I love
from 2
that.
different countries.
Okay, I didn't write that down.
But again,
Capital, I gotta write that down.
But again, just like, going back to just trying new things. You don't
Things
necessarily
are like,
let me tell you, I have a full list of like date things that when people say it, I check it off.
Okay, we're adding all those. Read Toussaint's. I missed it. Toussaint Werner. You have to check him out a lot of times.
He's
on
WVON. He said NDOT. It's a high-end food fest in Grant Park, and
that's what Gourmet Chicago is.
Black people. It's the best thing ever. NDOT.
We call Nemia affectionately NDOT.
Okay.
We call Nemia NDOT. Go back to go back further down, and he gave a description of what he liked to do with the opposite sex. One of his enjoyments.
He said something to the effect of liking a woman who can speak candidly and openly. I don't have it up, so.
Right, I don't see it either.
I hate.
Let me see if I can back.
It was.
He said we do city biking to low key. That's real fun and real cheap.
Look, let me tell you, I tried to play around on the bike.
Axe throwing.
Wait, axe throwing. That's what I was about to say.
Cherie. No axe throwing now. Axe throwing. Where at? It's a blast.
She said axe throwing.
Okay, I'm really gonna have this list of things to do, and we're I love
one
it.
One more.
Go back, find his comment.
One more. I'm gonna just put one more out there. If you don't have it, go online, get your FOID card from the city.
I threw my FOID card away, and I'm having the hardest time getting my card.
Well, you can get. I mean, you go on the little website. They're just $5. If you lost it, but get yourself a FOID card. That's a firearm owner's identification card. It costs you like $10. You don't even have to send a picture with your application anymore. They just use the picture that they have in the DMV database for your driver's license. So you get that in about 30 days, as long as you can pass your background check. And go into the gun range. Because I know I'm like most of the women who I know have never fired a handgun.
I've never fired a handgun, but I'm a scary cat.
But it is
I've
fun.
had my FOID card
for
2 or 3 years, and I've not shot a gun yet.
You have, and here's the thing. Okay, so you might not know this. Most people don't know this if they don't have a FOID card. All of the gun ranges in Illinois, when you get there, you can rent whatever caliber of gun that you want. So you can go in there and you can rent a gun anywhere from a 22 all the way up to a Desert Eagle. So you rent the gun, you buy your bullets, you buy your target, you buy your eyeglasses and your earplugs, and you go out on the range and you just go out there and shoot.
That's a scary one for me. But I would do it.
It sounds scary because you've never done it. But,
I've never done it.
But every person who I've ever gone to the gun range with who had never gone really enjoyed themselves.
Okay, I'm gonna add that to my list. I'm gonna put that on the raw checklist, T Bizzle. We're gonna add that on for tomorrow. So that definitely is something I have to do. So what we enjoy with the opposite sex, I wish I could get back to Toussaint. It was very sweet what he said.
Toussaint, can you cut and paste it and put it back on here?
Comment back because we can't get.
It's not letting me go back either.
It doesn't let us scroll past the last few comments. So what do men and women get the most enjoyment from when spending time with the opposite sex? I really love a good conversation. Touch, like you said, laughter and a good conversation with the opposite sex is nothing like that for me. Intellectual conversation that's stimulating and funny and all of that stuff just is probably something I look back on and remember that time we had that discussion.
I remember you at home having little flashbacks, like flashbacks of that. He's so funny. So silly.
I can't wait to spend time with him again. Because
here's what he said: I enjoy a woman that is open and embraces her sexuality, can communicate intelligently about world issues, and is open to taking risks. If we are operating on that frequency, everything is fun.
Yes, I agree.
Aw,
So
Tucson,
isn't that
you
we had a little
Tucson,
soft
you were
side.
like a sour patch. Like, you're sweet. I didn't know you had this
You sour on the outside,
bubbly
Salty on the
inside.
outside, but sweet on the inside.
salty and sour on the outside.
But you know what? And that is refreshing when you hear Black men speaking like about doing what we like, just doing genuine things and enjoying the company of a woman. That is
And a topic we
pretty
don't
dope.
discuss. We every week can talk about how we don't
Yeah.
like each other, how we don't get along, what is so
Yeah.
bad. How often do we really just talk about how much we enjoy each other's company? And this topic actually came from Tucson Werner. So
Yeah.
he was just all gushy inside today.
And I tell you again, from my experience, and maybe the brothers out there who are listening, tell me if this is your experience too. A lot of men will get turned off from having those conversations because the perception is, and I've experienced this, is that that's not fair to say. Some women don't have the ability to have a conversation about something, but remove their own personal
biases.
Right. Like I know women that, that grew up in single parent households. And if you try to have a conversation about single parent female headed households, they take it as like you're attacking their mother. Don't be talking about single Black women. My mother was a single Black woman.
I'm good. I never met the lady.
So sometimes, it is hard to find. I will say that it is hard to find a woman who can have a conversation and, like I said, make that distinction. That, if you're having if the conversation, if we sitting there watching the news and the subject of abortion comes up, and now I'm thinking we just having a conversation because it came on television, and now you snapping. I don't know nothing about what happened to you when you was
like, I didn't know, man. Oh, my bad.
Don't get mad. I didn't know.
So Tony says, how about you all share your best dates you've ever been out on? Don't look at me. You know I have a list, so I'm gonna let y'all go first.
Nemia is our socialite.
I figured out what date I would share. So
she goes, it's gonna take her a minute to break it down.
Let me think. The best date. I don't know.
I've had a lot of good dates.
I've
had a lot of good. I've had more good dates than bad dates. I can certainly say that. Generally speaking, because I don't do like blind dates or stuff. Usually I have some kind of rapport with the person, and there's already some kind of mutual something going on. And then, but like I remember when my wife and I went on our first date, and I didn't have a lot of money, but I wanted to do something that was really romantic, and I wanted to show her something that she had never seen before. So we went down to the Signature Room, which is the 95th floor of the John Hancock building. Again, if you've never been there.
I've never been there either. Let's put that on the list.
If you've never.
I haven't really.
Restaurant, and a lot of these places participate in Restaurant Week in Chicago. So if you.
Exactly. But at the Signature Room, half of it faces Navy Pier. That's the restaurant side. Then on the other side, it's a lounge. So again, I couldn't at the time. I wasn't in a position to take her to dinner, but we went up there. We had a couple of cocktails. She had this little shrimp dish that she liked. And then when you're sitting on the side that faces the city, the field of view is so wide that you can see both airports simultaneously. And at night, you just see the whole city lit up.
You can see
O'Hare and Midway at the same time. Yep. You can see. That's how wide your field of view is when you're looking west. So we went there, and then we left there, and then she wanted to go to People's Tacos.
Yeah.
Have either one of you
on
ever
the west
been
side?
there?
No, my poor sheltered life.
I still can't do People's Tacos. I can't do it. I cannot do a taco that they put a whole slice of Velveeta cheese or whatever on the taco. I can't do it.
That's what happens at People's.
Right.
Velveeta cheese?
That's how you knew she was the real one.
Black people swear by it.
That's how you know she was the real one.
All the people I know who go swear by it. If my friend Catherine is listening, she gonna post a minute because she swears by. But so that was, I guess that's what made the date interesting, because we had those two extremes. Like 1 minute we went to the 95th
Oh, I
floor,
love it. Right.
and then the next minute we
Y'all
went to
over in the
People's
hood.
Tacos.
That's cool.
But again, that was that's that was our first date. She just texted me, was like, "Really, David?" So
That's sweet, Mrs. Seaton.
but again, that's why that date sticks out in my mind, because we had these two events, but they were on different ends of the spectrum, and just in terms of.
So that means
I love that.
She was like, "This food is cute and all, but I need a taco."
She was
from the hood.
She was banging that shrimp. She was banging that shrimp.
Right.
She was banging that
still
shrimp.
hungry.
You said these 8.
You got those
shrimp and it's
food
shredded.
places give you a little bit of food. Still hungry. $80 for 8 shrimp.
Right.
And she was like, "Where are my tacos?"
She just said to one of you, "Thank you, Miss Lady, LOL." She was still hungry after her.
Yeah. So me and my friends, we do Valentine's Day. So those are always great dates because we really actually get dressed up. Like we're going out and we do go to about a 4 or 5 star restaurant and just have a good time. But both my best dates involve nature. One was over in Austin, and I was like, "What in the world he got me doing?" I show up, and he just told me to dress comfortably, and I show up in some comfortable clothes, and we walked through there, and I was amazed. And it gave us time to kind of sit, talk, have really good dialogue. But before we knew it, the sun had set, and we were both running to our vehicles because at that point you got to move your car before. And CPD was out there, and we were running like whoa. That was a good date, and then I went hiking before with the guy, and that was a good date. We got lost though, so that was not. He wanted to go. He was like, I got it, and that was probably my only interracial date too. With the guy. And so I was like, "Look, we are lost." And he was like, "No, we're not. I was like, "Yes, we are." And we were really lost. And by the time we made it back to the car, I was like, "Thank God we didn't die in the middle of hiking." But both of them involved nature. And so that's how I kind of knew I have a little bit of nature side, just a little bit. I'm a city girl through and through, but I got a little nature enjoyment in me. So I enjoy kind of the outdoors.
If I had to think of recent, I haven't been on a lot of dates, so I'm going to have to say, wah. But the Garfield I love nature, I love flowers, and going there was definitely fun, and like you were on an island and you're right on the west side of Chicago. So that was definitely a fun and beautiful time. And I took pictures and acted like I was in Hawaii for a minute, and I was on whatever street that was, because I don't know the west side, but I don't even know what street I was on. But I do know that was beautiful. I love nature. That to me is something. It makes me kind of tingly. It gets you warm.
You need to check out. Have you been to the Morton Arboretum?
No, but my ex-sister-in-law used to work there, and I do want to check that out.
Now, another good date, summer, once the weather breaks, maybe whenever that is, night at the zoo, adult night at the zoo. Now, the problem is the zoo.
Is it stinky?
I mean, it's a zoo, but it's Lincoln Park, so it's multifaceted. The animals are not happy. They are very
city animals are not
sporadic
happy.
In between. But it's a zoo, so there's no lights inside the zoo. So there's a certain point in the night where the event is still happening and you can't see an animal. You're looking for a giraffe, and you're like,
"What is that called?"
And there's that event called? Adults Night at the Zoo.
Adults Night at the Zoo. I'm adding all of these.
And so there's a lot of people that are out, and I mean, you can drink, which is always a good thing. Cheers. There's performances, and it's a big span of things to kind of see at the zoo. But there comes a point in time in the evening where you're like, "Oh, I can't see anything. I guess the animals are asleep, perhaps." But it's always a good time. But I had a date last night, and I got kind of like, it was weird because I was approached by another man while I was on a date.
Oh, what?
So the guy was like, "You look really nice." And I was like, "Thank you."
That's okay to do.
Like I'm with someone.
Did he notice you were with someone?
He did. So I saw him across the restaurant. We went to just Blaze Pizza where you build your own pizza, and I thought that was pretty cool.
So basically, you made eye contact.
You made eye contact.
No, you know how you know when someone is kind of zapping their energy your way. So I looked and I was like, okay, and he didn't look away, and I was like, so I'm engaged in my date, and then I turned back and he's still looking, and I'm like, well, do I know him? So I said, well, let me stare a little bit to see. It's like, no, I don't know this guy. So I would go on about my business. He stepped out to wash his hands at the time. And then he comes over immediately and was like, you look really nice. And it was a very casual date. I was like, oh, thank you. For the first
Did you get his number?
No, he was handsome though. But I knew my date was coming out the restroom, so I was like, there's nothing I can do.
What a dilemma.
So
that sounds like a miss. I don't know.
It wasn't a missed opportunity. It was just somebody just not right.
What does Cat post? You can go to Inglewood, see Night at the Zoo.
Terrell, no Night at the Zoo at Inglewood, unless that's what your date likes. So I won't say that. Now, I don't know what your kind of girl is, Terrell.
Now, if your girl is a selfie person, there's a lot of murals that are up now that you can take her to go take her little selfie in back of the mural.
I love murals.
There are a lot
murals.
of them, right here on Austin and Lake Street. On Austin and Lake Street and on Central and Lake Street, they have these really elaborate mosaic kind of murals. And so the one on Central has a butterfly. And so you stand in the middle and or angel wings, and you stand in the middle and the mural has it's really pretty cool. But I don't know. You got to be real quick. On Central and Austin? Now, on Austin.
You got to run and do it?
On Austin and Lake? Okay, but on Central and Lake?
Those angel
don't
wings
go out there looking
real.
Like a tourist. You better go up
Those
like
angel wings might be real on Central.
Right.
You all are too funny. You're tuned in to He Said on IntellectualRadio.com. We're an iHeartRadio station, and I do want you all to check out my sponsor, Journey to Wholeness Center, located at 9501 New England in Oak Lawn. They just have a variety of healing things to do, meditation. They have 18 different practitioners that work in all different modalities, and you really have to check them out. Go to journeytowholeness.org, and I would love for you to go to one of their free meditations. If you don't do anything, learn your Zen. It's free on Sundays, noon. Go to their website to see when they have it, sign up and go for meditation. You can learn how to meditate, because that is one of the most, something you can do anywhere you are and relieves anxiety and stress. So check out Journey to Wholeness Center, 9501 New England in Oak Lawn, and journeytowholeness.org.
Now, if you're trying to, like, if you've already juiced and stuff like that, they do this couples yoga that's, I hear, is pretty hot and erotic. So
couples yoga, add that to your list of things that you may like to do when enjoying time with the opposite sex. That sounds like fun.
Now, did you see Tony's?
What did he say?
Tony says, is it okay to take your new date to a place that you enjoyed with an ex?
Absolutely. Just don't tell her.
Right. You can't be like, yeah, my ex really enjoyed this spot, so I'm going to take you. Like, no. It's got to be.
I don't even think that matters. But no, definitely. I mean, because the better that you know the place, the better you can navigate it, for that person who is their first time. So you can say, oh, they make this really good drink. Oh, they have this really good dish. Oh, this DJ is really good. That kind of thing.
I think it matters to women. So, David, I'm going to have to say, don't elaborate.
Don't
spend the whole time with her talking about how your ex loved this.
No,
she loved this.
I didn't say that. I didn't say
I'm
that.
Saying that.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm not saying to do that. But if you were saying,
okay, don't do that.
If she just said, if you and I went on a date and you said to me, casually, oh, how'd you find this place? You're like, oh, my ex and I used to come here.
That wouldn't bother me at all. But taking me to the same place is fine.
I wouldn't be sitting
discussing
there.
Her.
I wouldn't be sitting there saying,
you said no, Nemia.
Oh, you picked the same
Some
dish
men
that my
will.
ex likes. You
Some
like
men
shrimp
will.
too?
I would.
You like shrimp too? My ex
Yeah.
used to get shrimp. I wouldn't. That's the one.
I don't
But
wanna
some
know
men
that
do
it's
that.
someplace
They
that you
start
took your
telling
ex.
you all the
Yeah.
stories. Man, if she did this on this, I've had that happen to me. I'm sorry, but they do like to elaborate on what the ex liked about that place. So if you're gonna do that, don't take her. But if you go, yes, it's the place you like, and it's your favorite place
Yeah.
to go, then I would love to experience your favorite place.
Certainly.
But don't give me all the back details. Not too many.
And then I think there's rules too, Tony. Like, don't take her to like your spot. Like, I have my local lounge that I enjoy. I don't want to bring anybody that I'm just casually dating there, because I don't want you to pop up on the scene like in my
I know what you mean.
space.
I know
Like,
what you mean.
no, go get your own lounge.
Well, the hidden ones, and I've had that happen where someone just shows up because they know that's where I'm going to be. And I
Yeah.
note to self, don't ever bring people
Yeah.
to those kind of that you just keep showing up because you want to see if I'm there.
Right. Like, I
And
know
now you
this
know.
this what she said. She likes to go for stepping. Like,
And
so
that
you
has
show up now, you doing a count.
happened.
No, I don't want you to do an A count with me.
So I think it's okay. I think bringing a new date to a place that you enjoyed with an ex is fine, because I think that makes sense. And I think I've had someone say, "Oh, I've been here," like you said, they mention it casually, like, "Oh, if you ask, how do you know about it? Oh, I came here, we enjoyed it, and it ends there." I mean, I wouldn't even think anything about that. So I don't
Exactly.
think that matters. But you got to know who you're dealing with, though, because if some of you deal with women that do care, then know her. Just know the
Yeah.
woman. Some women do care.
No. People need to grow up.
Th-
If
yes.
someone just casually mentions, "Oh, I came here with someone else," like, look, I was hungry before I met you, and I came out before I met you. So
I've lived before I met you.
you know I got kids, right? So you know I had somebody in my life. Somebody else liked me before you did. Grow up.
Yes, I think that's fine. I don't think that's a problem whatsoever.
I ain't saying all this goodness to you.
You know this wasn't all waiting for you, baby. I done spread this around. I'm on number 82.
Tonight.
You're gonna be 83. How about that?
82 and counting.
James, hey James, just chiming in too. He said, she said, in answering our main topic, how many sex partners are too many? He said 2 is too many unless the first one died.
Wow. Wow.
Jeez.
Exactly.
Okay, so you got to know who you're working with. I think if you know the person you're dating, you know who you're dealing with them, and a lot of these questions.
Yeah. Now, what I find funny is when I have a friend who dated a woman who had a lot of kids. I was like, dude, what are you doing? And he was like, look, one thing for sure she is doing is what I'm interested
But those
in.
would be the main ones that have 8 kids, let's say, that
And
I'm
you're
waiting
like, how
until I
did you
get
become the
married.
9th baby father? Like, how did you become the 13th?
I'm
Thank you.
always amazed by that
Thank
person that wants to get in on that.
And it's
count.
usually number 6 or 7 that'll be the dummy that married her.
Yeah.
Now don't try to
and complaining. Sorry to anyone if you're in that situation. We're not
right.
trying to
Wasn't
talk
called
about
right.
you.
Wasn't trying to put anybody on blast.
Not at all. Sorry.
Not at all.
Whatever
But don't complain then, because you knew when you got into it
Right.
with number
Right.
6 child.
You
then
know
wanna
this.
be
You know
set.
it's gonna be random dudes coming over at 2:00 in the morning talking about, "I want to see my baby."
When you at sleep, you can just sleep in the bed until you wake up.
They do
Petsy.
Okay, so you're tuned in to He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com. I'm here with David Seaton and N. Dot. And
What up?
we're discussing a variety of topics. We've gone through a few today.
We
Yes,
have.
So
We
we're
knocking
going
them
to
out.
keep it moving.
Yes, we
One
have.
more. What's inspiring about men from women's perspective, and what's inspiring about women from a man's perspective?
What is
Inspiring.
What attribute or what characteristics do I see in women that I think
Think
I
women.
it's I find it inspiring when I see women break the mold. When I see because again, just the way life is, you just get accustomed to, women do this and men do this, or women have this type of job and men have this type of job, or more specifically, women can't have this type of job, that kind of thing.
So if you see a woman who's doing an astronaut, I'm throwing something out there. No,
Well,
Or
again,
give
just
me
to
an
see,
example.
yeah, see people break the mold. I'll give you a really good example from a man point of view. When I was coming up, when I was growing up, most of my mother's side of the family, there were very few men. Like it was, I'm the only, I don't have any brothers, or I have a stepbrother, but I don't have any brothers that I grew up with, and I only have two male first cousins. But it's a ton of women, and then my mother has five sisters, and her four brothers, they never really came around. So it was my mother and her five sisters and all their daughters and all they, So growing up, when I would see cooking when the family got together, it was always the women who would do the cooking. And with the exception of one of my mother's sister's husband, he did a little bit of cooking. But then, like, when I grew up and I started like watching the Food Network when that first came out, and like all of the chefs were men at first. It was like Emeril Lagasse and Bobby Flay and those kind of cats. So that I started watching that and started learning how to cook. And then I guess because of that, I just looked up one day and like all of the women that I was friends with, none of them could cook because they all came around because they was waiting on me to cook.
What you cooking?
So that's a man thing again. Like I was inspired, I guess, by seeing that it's not any gender specific
to cooking. Men can cook too.
Right.
It's
and,
not
and can be good at it. That was like a stereotype when I was coming up. That like if it was a dude cooking, it was like, this is about to be whack.
I was raised that way. My mother got injured, had to come live with my family. I was married, and she would not eat my ex's cooking. I would have to pretend like I cooked it, and he loved to cook. But she feels like men should not be in the kitchen, and that is how she raises men. You bring him his plate. You don't let him even. He doesn't need to come in the kitchen. You bring him his plate, find out what he wants, serve him his plate. He doesn't come in the kitchen, and she didn't want food from a man.
See, and again, that kind of goes back to this whole like gender thing that we're talking about, because that woman might have met a good dude who liked to cook, because her perceptions were so narrow, she would have thought that something wrong with him because he likes to be in the kitchen. He act like a woman. What? I'm just cooking for my family. Why are you tripping? So yeah, people bring their own baggage and perceptions into stuff.
Absolutely.
I don't know how to answer that. So I'm supposed to look at the opposite sex about what inspires.
Oh, I think Toussaint is gone. This is another one sent by Toussaint. So I'd like to ask him to elaborate. But so what's inspiring? I'll answer while you think it maybe. What came to mind for me of what's inspiring about men from women. I love watching men with their children. I don't know why that just warms my heart. Of the football practices, the dads are out there, they're smoking cigars. There are dads everywhere. They had their chairs out there and they're watching, and they're with their children, or dads that are at the dance recitals. And I just love that. I don't know if that's is inspiring or not, but I just love that look at the dads that have the father-daughter dance pictures were up this weekend. They had it at my child's grammar school, and the dads who are out with their daughters and they're all dressed up. I'm like, oh, or we have a father's club at the school, and the dads who set out coffee, or I see them walking their children to school in the morning. I just love that dynamic of the dads and their roles with their children. Always is a fun thing for me.
I am the exact same way. I love to see a man who I know is rough and masculine on the exterior, but then you see them with little people, children, or their significant others, and they are gentle and patient. And so kind of seeing that dynamic. One of the things I love to see now is my father playing with my nephew, who's 2. And my dad, even like my poor nieces, even with his granddaughters, who are now adults and have children, still kind of very stern, like, get up, do this. What are you watching? What's the point of it? But with his great grandchildren and this little nephew that's 2, he is a big mush ball. And so seeing this man that I know is very spot on, very organized, and it was my great niece that broke him down. Like, he would be like, clean up your mess. And she would look at him like, I'm not cleaning that up. I'm still playing with toys. And would follow him around and would want to only be with him and wouldn't want to be bothered with any of us, would stand outside of the restroom when he goes in the bathroom until he came out. And so kind of seeing him be broken down by at the time she was 2, and my nephew is 2 now too, so he gets broke down by 2-year-olds all the time. And so it really is like absolutely amazing to see. So I like to see that.
That aspect is inspiring to me as well. So I'm rereading the question to see if
let me try.
What's inspiring about men from a woman's perspective and vice versa. So
let me flip it for you real quick. Were either of you inspired by Michelle Obama?
Inspired
in her dynamic of her relationship with Barack?
However,
well,
because like my perception as I think back on the 8 years that he was president, Black women on social media, they were like, Michelle Obama was like that was like a badge of honor. It was like, Black women were like, I'm in the White House kind of by extension because Michelle is in the White House.
Yeah, I think the 2 go-tos is Michelle and Beyonce.
Beyonce?
Okay. When you're talking kind of relationship dynamics of, because Michelle and Beyonce by their own right can stand alone, like hands down. But and as it relates to their relationship, they both chose to be the wife. And absolutely, I was inspired by Michelle Obama. Just even with seeing how Barack Obama handled Michelle. He was always gentle, and she was always gentle with him. I was just looking at some pictures when she's fixing his bow tie, or like one time she did the lick in the finger and was getting something off his face. And so just kind of that handling. I just like to see people handle each other
with care
and being gentle and things like that.
I'd have to agree with that. I think that definitely was you just love to see their roles and being in the White House. I love to see them with their children. I love that I have daughters about the same age as Malia and Sasha, to see little girls coming out with cornrows out the White House. Just
that Sasha
used to move
oh my God. Crack me up every time.
I just love love that dynamic of seeing us in that perspective. So absolutely. And then that Michelle comes from my town. Yeah, there's some pride in that. And that she did always, this discussion comes up and she said a lot of masculinity and femininity. And
that's what Tucson said. That's what he meant.
That we see Michelle so much is she in her own right, but she always kind of stayed in a very feminine role with Obama, and that care, like you said, that care for him and taking care of him.
And it was a traditional, but like an updated version of the traditional feminine role, and that's inspiring.
So I absolutely would say watching them was inspiring. I know I love seeing those 2 little girls coming out of the White House and my daughters seeing them in that role, and that they stayed in their true selves. I don't know that just like you could see yourself, and my children got to see people in that light, and especially in contrast to what we have today.
Child.
It makes them look like rock stars.
Child.
And Beyonce, I don't know. I
you know what?
Feeling nothing with Beyonce.
Well, a lot of people, and that's fine. But if you follow, of course, I'm a fan.
You're a beehiver.
But if you follow her just as like her. Like when it's family dynamics, she is a family.
That's true.
Family type of woman.
And I do love that. Absolutely love that picture of her with the fruit snacks and the juice box, and they're at the Grammys, and they're there like
like we got at least millions both a piece in their attire and jewelry, and you got fruit snacks in your purse because you know your kid is about to lose her on TV. She's hangry, so you go whipping it out. That's
that scenario is very dope. That they're both, whereas Mills eating the same fruit snacks. We trying to keep their daughter quiet at the Grammys or Oscars or whichever it was very. Other than that, though, I don't. But I do understand why people do. I do love their love story, and I get it. I just don't quite feel the same. But not that I feel anyway. I shouldn't say it's not a negative feeling. I just don't not moved by Beyonce.
Right.
But I do understand it, and I do agree that I do agree with that. So we're gonna keep it moving.
Black Family just inspired.
Black Family is inspiring, isn't it? Love. Dope. I love.
So I got to go to Black Love season 2 sneak preview at the DuSable last week.
What is Black Love?
So it's a series on OWN Network that follows a spectrum of couples from celebrities all the way down to just everyday average, and they kind of tell their love story, and their love stories with the hiccups of being on the verge of divorce, what having children has done to their dynamic of their relationship, to one couple actually lost the child unexpectedly, and how that put a total different spin on their relationship. And they were one of the elder couples that they'd interviewed, and they were on still, just trying to figure out their path, because they talked about how they lost their identity in raising their child. And when that dynamic was gone, they were like, oh, I guess I get to get more familiar with you and figure out this thing. So it's a phenomenal docuseries, and so they're spinning off with season 2, and it just focuses on Black love, and they do an interracial couple to kind of look at the dynamics of like when you're mixing Black love with another racial background, and kind of the hiccups with merging those two backgrounds together. But it's a great docuseries, and it's in a very timely, a very needed time, because you have so much like, oh, I'm giving up on love, or Black love doesn't exist, I don't like men, Black men are trash, Black women are trash. And so we always have these debates of what we don't like about one another. So to see someone being intentional about documenting how what those positive attributes are that we bring to the table in our quest for maintaining Black love, and then kind of what Black love looks like.
So this where you went, is that a kickoff? They were showing
they were on tour, so they did little snippets of the entire series of season 2. So season 2 comes out. They're doing season 2 May 12th, but then they're doing a Mother's Love. So they're doing a documentary about Black mothers, May 6th or something like that. It's all on OWN Network. Oprah's
Okay, I'll have
network.
to check that out. I do love Black love. So,
and again, I was hesitating whether or not I wanted to say this, but I'll just jump out there and say it.
Say it.
I'll just jump out there and say it.
Do it.
I don't know. Let me say it differently. There's always been Black love. So like I guess that when I see stuff like that, and it's like, oh, we're trying to highlight it because we've been convinced that it doesn't exist, and so then that becomes our expectation, But there are plenty of happily married, multi-generational married Black families out there that that like, again, we've got
us.
Right. I'm just saying it's really incumbent on us not to buy into the stereotype of us.
Well,
the stereotype of us is a stereotype.
Absolutely. But when you have people that rely on social media as their source for life, then and these are the people that aren't sharing the experiences that we discussed earlier, that sit and look at Love and Hip Hop and think that is kind of what Black relationships look like. You do need intentional media put out there to kind of highlight what that looks like. Even for me, like I have quite a few couples that are in relationships, and that's all they're in is in relationships. I can count 2 are in happy relationships, and relationships to the extent of being married to their spouses. I may know 2 couples that actually, when you're around them, you feel the energy that they actually like their spouse, where the others are just in it to be in it.
Well, you know what? And again, not to get real deep, but
here I go.
Right.
But
Please do.
and this is something that I thought about for a long time. I grew up in one of those. I remember being a teenager in church, and they would have a class about how to date as a Christian, or being in school, and they'd be talking about sex education. Your freshman, sophomore year,
Yeah.
you're taking that sex
Sex
ed
ed.
class, and they talk about diseases and condoms and contraceptives and all this. But you know what? I've never seen a class that teaches kids in their formative years how to be a friend. Because before you can have a significant other, you first have to understand and master the more basic relationship. The first
Absolutely.
relationship that you have is a friend.
Yep.
And we don't. So it's no surprise that we have all of these unhealthy, dysfunctional relationships, because we skip the foundation. Before you're my wife or my girlfriend or the person I'm sleeping with, or before you're any of that, you should be my friend.
Yep.
But if we're never taught how to be friends, then how do we, big surprise, your relationship doesn't work, and a relationship is more complex than a friendship.
No, we're taught probably more in the formative years just to stay away from the opposite sex,
I was
not to
just
be
gonna say
friends,
that.
but
You
to
being
just stay
fast
away
and
from them
don't-
completely.
And that's why, because I remember when I was on the show before, and I don't remember if it was the show that I was on before, but I remember that we had this conversation. You always get this crazy question of, can men and women be friends? Can they be platonic? But the reason why we struggle with that is because we've never been taught how to be friends. We skip that step automatically. We just kind of it's this person is my friend because we grew up together and I've known them my whole life. Y'all don't have nothing in common, nothing, but you just call that person a friend,
or
because
the term was used as like, that's really the person you smashing, but you're in this is mama or daddy's friend, and then you see them kissing, you like, wait a minute, y'all a little more than friends. You kiss them or her.
I think we're not really the dynamic of male, female when you're younger is more thought of in a sexual way, even from your parents. Sometimes, like, you can't be friends. They go into the thought process that something sexual could be going on, and they have to watch, rather than we're not taught to be friends.
And Tucson just did a good. He just made a good post too. He says self-love is nearly non-existent. Again, you can't love someone else if you don't love yourself.
Yep.
If every time you look in the mirror you're saying something negative, and every time you have any experience, or anytime you have any self-reflection on what's going on with you, if it's always negative, then it's impossible for you to be positive with someone else.
Even when you're being honest with yourself and you know that you are a toxic person to be involved in, people still opt to be in a relationship for the sake of, this is what I'm supposed to, and I need somebody by my side. I can't, you have no type of self-identity outside of a relationship of any kind involved. And self-love is right. And it's hard. It's hard work.
It's not. It's not, because
not hard work?
Let me let you finish. I'm sorry.
Well, getting to a place of self-love, and no, I will continue to say it's hard work, and it's an intentional work. So getting to that point of being okay, because so many outside forces will influence you to question who you are. And it takes some resistance to kind of what all other forces are saying you should be, and being okay with, like, I'm okay with me. I'm okay with how I look. I'm okay with, what I like. I'm okay with, walking to the beat of my own drum.
But that sounds like someone who wasn't taught to love themselves, and then they found themselves in an unhealthy place where those outside influences were able to affect their perception. If my daughter, and again, I'm gonna use my daughter as an example just because it's germane, but like in the last maybe sometime earlier this year, she just came to me out of the blue, and she said about how she wanted a bigger butt. Now, my daughter is like one of those, she's she's very voluptuous, like her mother was at that age. She's top heavy. She's got hips and legs and thighs and blah 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 blah. But we talked about this before, and
we talked about her hair last time. I think you were here.
But I told her, I was like, no, you don't need a bigger butt. You're beautiful just the way you are.
Absolutely.
And not enough. But again, that to your point, she's probably interacting in her, and being an adolescent and looking at some boy who's looking at some girl that she's made up in her mind.
Or social media. Everybody's got butt injections or some type of.
It's probably not social media with her because she doesn't really do Facebook, which I'm really proud of. She very seldom does. But it could be something like that.
Social, that's just a small force. But if she's watching anything on TV, stuff like that, everybody.
But to your point, or to the larger point, I always take every opportunity to reinforce that she should love herself.
Yeah.
So again, if she loves herself, she'll be positive when she looks in the mirror and when she has her interactions about herself. That helps her to be positive with her friends, and then mastering that will help her identify and stay in a healthy relationship when she gets to that point. But it's all, those are the building blocks. Like self-love is the foundation. Then the next layer is friendship. Then the next layer is relationship. And we skip the first two trying to get to the relationship.
Right. And the self-love, why I think Damien says is that as hard as usually we're trying to correct things, because that first layer down below of your parents times is not a healthy layer. That's not a layer of a parent really teaching you something. My parents, probably more than my mother than father, very critical. So I'm critical of myself, very critical that you could do better. You could be better. You could be. So I'm very hard on myself, hence other people around me too, because I'm very hard on myself. And so do I spend a lot of time loving myself? Not that I have to work on. I have to learn how to love myself because I've learned very much to be critical of everything that I do, how I look, even. And now I even notice it myself. My daughter sent me a picture. She went to visit Howard. She's an AKA, and the AKAs were going at Howard. She went there, and my first thing I thought was, oh, she looks like she's gained some weight. And I thought, oh, gosh, that's my mother. That's my mother. If my mother saw me, she'd go, oh, you need to lose a few pounds. I noticed you picked up you need to, she wouldn't say you look nice or you have, she would pick up whatever flaw she saw. You
don't see where I'm in a whole other country right now.
But you're picking up that you maybe want to watch what you're eating while you're there.
Now let's make a distinction there. You can be constructive with you can give yourself constructive criticism, which is healthy, which is still loving yourself, or you can give yourself destructive criticism.
When you compare it.
Right. You can have constructive or deconstructive criticism about the same thing. You could be looking in the mirror and you could say, you know what, I've gained a little weight. I know, my doctor measured my blood sugar, told me it was elevated. I want to make sure that I'm doing my part to have optimal health. So the next time I'm not going to have that sweet, or I'm going to modify my diet or whatever.
Constructive criticism. But criticism is criticism.
No. If your daughter came home with straight F's, you wouldn't say, great job. At least you went to school every day. No, you'd be saying in a constructive way, how did you fail all of your classes? That's not acceptable. And there's a minimum you have to do as when you're going to school. You're not. That's constructive.
What I'm speaking of is different, because what I'm speaking of is there's balance. Mm-hmm. I didn't grow up with the balance.
Right. No.
So I'm not speaking of that you're not supposed to criticize and not criticize, give feedback. Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about that. I didn't get the other side of it. I didn't get you look nice. And there's a time and place. You shouldn't always come back with when my daughter, and I had to learn to do this, that if she came back and had A's, to focus on you could do better. And that's how my parents did. I could have all A's and one C, and the focus will be on the C.
Now,
and so that's what I mean.
Right. And that's what I was saying, just the difference, because for my daughter, for example, when she was struggling with some subject, and her mother will be telling, again, to your point, she'd have all A's and she'd have that one B or one C, and her mother was pounding her about that B or that C. When I would have that conversation with her, I would say, okay, you got the B in chemistry. Do you want to be a chemist when you grow up? No. Okay. Then I would tell her, getting a B in a subject just means that you've identified the thing You've identified that you're better at something else. So there, a lot of people will put their energy into things that they're not good at.
Well, that's the nature of education, is to
weed out what you're not good at.
Yeah. Well, no, to highlight what you're not good at, and then say, well, we need to get tutoring for this math. Well, they're probably just not good at math and not ever going to be good at math. But let's look at all these other A's and B's and see how we can flourish.
That's
those
my point.
Areas.
Right. If my daughter was getting straight A's in math and she was getting straight C's in science, I wouldn't tell her, oh, you need to bring your science grade up. I'd be saying, you need to concentrate. This is obviously the area that you're good at. So this is what we're going to push you in. As opposed to saying, oh, you got a B or a C in this one class. What were you doing in that one class? If you got a B or a C or a D, that just means that maybe you weren't trying, or maybe you just identified what you're not good at.
That's just not going to be your good.
Right, and that's what you're supposed to do.
And
that's what you're supposed to do.
But what Wanda is saying too is, I grew up where I will never forget when my grandmother told me, "You grew up to be cute, to be a dark-skinned girl." Mm-hmm. And it's like, geez. So growing up where you're not getting these positive affirmations of that plant seeds of wanting to be this self-loving person, it's work to kind of to go through those trenches and
especially
uproot all of those like things.
Right. Yeah. And what both of you are talking about is, you're talking about deconstructing the negative or the
to get to a place
to get to the self-love though.
Right.
The point is, we were saying, I'm only addressing that why Nemia may have said that it can be hard work is because we're trying to heal things, ways of
and that's what I meant when
talking
I say,
to ourselves.
That's what I meant, deconstructing. When I say deconstructing, it's somebody's been pouring some negativity into you, and now you have to break those walls down and just re-educate yourself about yourself almost, so that you can be positive. So yeah, definitely, I sympathize with anybody who's going through that or dealing with that. But my suggestion would be, again, it's just like, 21 days it takes 21 days to form a habit. If you've been hearing your whole life X, you got to tell yourself every day the good things about you.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll start thinking that way.
Yeah.
So I would love for you, this is a perfect time to bring up our sponsor, Journey to Wholeness Center. They're located at 9501 New England in Oak Lawn, 708-634-3664. They have free energy tune-ups, drum circles, Qigong, anxiety relief with EFT, free guided meditations. Oh, Kim Plesha's that one. I love me some Kim Plesha. Energy, the best kept secret to healing and wellness. So they have a lot of different workshops that you can go try out and learn more about yourself, and definitely help in some of this healing work. So it's not as difficult. They have people that help you with those things. So go to Journey to Wholeness Center, our sponsors, and definitely a place I love to go to try to get my mind right when I need some extra help with it. So I want to thank David. David, how can people reach you? Tell them a little bit about your show real quick.
You can check out me and my partner, Tiba Buchanan, on Saturdays at 1 p.m. on IntellectualRadio.com. We have Humanity in the Headlines. We were discussing this past week. We were discussing the whole Starbucks issue where the two brothers got kicked out of Starbucks. We were also talking about this Arab American teacher at Fresno State whom criticized Barbara Bush, and they're trying to get her fired. So those are the political issues that we talk about, the political issues of the day. If you want to follow me, you can check me out at David A. Seaton at twitter.com. And I'm usually posting about something, whatever the germane issue is of the day, but definitely hit me up there and we can have a conversation there as well.
And that
is on Facebook as Nemia Ward, and I am on Instagram as Cricklin_girl.
So you guys, you can follow me, Wanda B on Facebook. Join the group He Said, She Said on Facebook. Also, if you're interested in doing what I do, becoming a host here at Intellectual, you have a show idea. I love to hear your show ideas. You can give me a call at 708-223-8953. Love to have that. Love to hear about it. And also, if you need a yoga classes or a book signing, you need a venue to have a special event, a baby shower or something like that. I have this most beautiful place for you to try out. Quaint. So give me a call with that too. 708-223-8953. And tomorrow, check out me and my girl T Bizzle. We have fun. It's kind of like we talk about everything. Raw Checklist is at 9 p.m. on IntellectualRadio.com. So I would love to see you here next week, the same time, same place, 2 p.m. on IntellectualRadio.com. We're an iHeartRadio station. See you next week, guys. Facebook. Thank you to everybody who chimes in on Facebook. Tony Brand, Tucson added a lot.
All inclusion, no confusion. He said, she said, clearing up the drama.